Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Jacqueline and this is New Moon Oracle. If you like these videos, if they resonate with you, if you can relate to them, please like my videos, share my videos, and subscribe because I'm growing a community here of people that may need help, like I did, from narcissistic abuse, from complex PTSD. But my video today is about how to leave the emotional, abusive narcissist. Now, there are narcissists that are full of rage. They're all full of rage, but some are very explosive and angry outwardly. They're the type that hit, that throw things, that threaten your physical body. And I'm not talking about that today. Today, what I'm talking about is the narcissist that uses your mental faculty, your self-esteem, and your self-worth against you. And what I wanted to focus on today was how to mentally prepare yourself to leave this type of person. Because as soon as you try to leave, they will pull all stops and they will do everything they can to get in your head. And at this point in your life, when you've realized you've been abused by a narcissist and your self-worth is that depleted, you are very vulnerable. So some of the things that I wanted to talk about are: one, don't tell anyone what you're doing. Obviously, you're going to have to tell somebody because, like in my instance, it was my youngest son who lived in the area and was willing to let me live with him while I escaped this environment. And so he was the only one that really knew. My parents caught wind of it, of course, after it happened, but I didn't have a relationship with them, so I didn't have to worry about that so much. But my parents come into play because here's the first thing that my narcissist ex did. He acted as if he was welcoming me to leave, offered to drive me to my apartment. If I needed anything at his house, I could pick it up. It was this open invite, like, we're just going to be friends and amicable, and I'm just going to let you leave, and it's going to be just fine. Go ahead. Do what you need to do in life. And it was all fake. And I knew it. So I didn't take up any offers. I didn't go back to his house to get any more belongings. I had left in the middle of the night with whatever I could take with me, my cat, my computer, my valuables, my pictures, but that's all I left with. That's all I left with. And one of the other things that he did is he, a lot of people call it their flying monkeys or their little puppets. And so the first thing he did was he got his mother to start contacting me, saying, you know, honey, I love you, and I know it was hard, and we should still be friends, and she wanted to keep a connection with me. And I understood what that was about too. That was about his way of controlling and seeing where I was at and what I was doing. And so I recognized that and I didn't fall for it. But one of the tips I want to give you is don't be blatant about the fact that you're ignoring it. What I did with her was I strung her along. And it sounds like I'm playing games, but I'm telling you, with these people, you got to play their game. You've got to play their game or they will take you down. So she was texting me and calling me, asking me, oh, where's your new apartment? And can I come visit? And we should have lunch. And I just kept making excuses, like I'm really busy with work. I just moved. We're trying to settle in, blah, blah, blah. But what I noticed started happening was when I wasn't feeding into that and I wasn't meeting her for lunch or letting her stop by and visit, the text messages started to change. Then they started saying, I certainly hope you're not going to take him for his whole pension. I hope you're not going to try to ruin his life by taking the house from him. I hope you're not going to hurt my son. It started there. Then it was, you know, the diamond that's on your engagement ring was my grandmother's, and I sure hope you're going to return that to us. So again, I gave it the time to show its ugly head. I didn't fall for the hook, line, and sinker. Because at this point, I had known enough about the situation and realized that everybody was in on it. So that was my first clue to give to you about being silent about your approach and being very particular about who you share your life with. Because the people, even close relatives, who I thought had my back, even though they were toxic, turned on me. So one of the things that you have to understand is when you have toxic family, it's a struggle because you always hang on to this idea that in the end, they're going to be your family, and no matter what has happened in the past, they're going to have your back when you really need it, and they don't. If your family is toxic and caused you this harm as you were growing up, which resulted in you getting into these relationships, they are going to revert back to their toxic behavior as well. My parents very much enjoyed when I was suffering. They never wanted anything to do with me when I was getting a new job or excelling at work or graduating from school, doing something to better myself. But as soon as I was down, they loved to swoop in and then remind me about how it was my fault. So my reason for telling you this is to be very, very careful about your plan of attack or your strategic way of leaving this relationship. Another thing that happened to me was once that failed with his mother, my family, so I was hearing at tertiary, third party, my ex was visiting my parents. My parents, who knew about the abuse, who knew how bad he was treating me. As a matter of fact, my stepfather even said to me once, all that man wants is a housekeeper and somebody to raise his kids that he can abuse and use. He told me that to my face. But as soon as I left this abusive person, they invite him over for dinner. And family members are telling me, oh, my kids said, oh, I guess grandma was telling me about Christopher got this and Christopher got that, talking about my ex-husband like they're best buddies. And again, I had to pretend like that didn't cut, like that didn't hurt. So another tip for you is that narcissists will start to use other people to build this web of proving that you were wrong, that everyone's going to side with him, that he's going to feed them bullshit stories, that you were the cause. And it worked in my family because they reveled in my failure. My failure always made my family very happy that I was failing. So be careful about that. And on a side note, I want to tell you that I have been free of this narcissist husband for nearly 5 years. My divorce has been final for a year and some months. And the other day, I got a text from my adult son who lives across the country, who received a text message from my mother. And the text message was a picture that was from my ex-husband of a piece of mail that came to his house addressed to me. It was junk mail. Clearly junk mail. But he sends it to my mother, who I don't speak with because she's a narcissist, who then sends it to my adult son, who is the only person in the family that still speaks to my mother. And my son then sends it to me and says, hey, Mom, Grandma sent me this text message from Christopher, and she thought it might be important that you might need to see it. These are the same people who, when I had nowhere to live, was leaving an abusive husband, continued to abuse me, didn't help me financially, didn't help me emotionally, didn't help me in any way. As a matter of fact, made it harder for me, who would have never showed me a picture of mail that was even important. I could have received a check. I could have received a notice that was like, life or death. And these people would have never shared it with me. But now all of a sudden, 5 years later, when we're divorced and I'm not speaking to them, all of a sudden they have to use their monkeys to find a way into your life. So my point again is, don't let your guard down. They don't change. You can think months and years go by. You can think that they're sitting at home healing like you are. They're not healing. They're finding ways to manipulate you from the grave. These people never stop. During my divorce from this man, he made things so hard, which you would expect a narcissist to do. And I think the thing to remember is that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's why I tell people why it is so hard to leave a narcissist, because their goal from the beginning is to degrade you and bring you down and make you feel so unworthy and incapable that you start to think, I can't leave. I spent nearly 2 years trying to figure out how I was going to leave this person, because he controlled the money. He controlled everything about my environment. He controlled how my parents thought about me. He controlled about how his family thought about me, how his kids thought about me, and he controlled the narrative. And so for me to leave, I couldn't get support from people because he had controlled the narrative. So my point to you today is to just seek some information, get your ducks in a row, find the way that you can disconnect. Because for me, it was very hard to leave and then have my environment trying to pull me back in. I even received an email from my mother, who I hadn't been speaking to, telling me all about how my ex-husband came over and fixed her pipes, and she made him his favorite dinner. And you know, just one more way that a narcissist was trying to use their power to hurt me. And for what reason? If they hate me so much, why do they want me in their life? That's the key. If people hated me so much and I made them so miserable and I was so difficult to be around and so unlovable and so unworthy, why do you think it is they want to keep you and suck you back in? Think about that for a minute. They suck the life out of you. They are literally emotional vampires. They do not know how to regulate their own emotions. They do not know how to self-soothe. They don't know how to heal. And the only way that they can do it is to continue to be negative. They will die narcissists. And I know there's probably people that are going to argue that point with me, say that people can change, people can heal. I have a mother who I have begged to love me for 54 years. And she's the one who decided to be best friends with my abuser as soon as she could. And 5 years after I escaped this, I'm still receiving messages, and to do it through my adult son. So not only are they abusing me, but they're putting my son, who is just trying to still have a relationship with his grandmother. He feels sorry for his grandmother because she has no one else to talk to. So now she's manipulating and using him. And that's his life and his struggle. And I know he's a strong, independent man. I know that he's not going to be used and abused like I was by her. I know that he has the ability to not have that happen to him. But it still hurts as a mother to know that your family will literally use other family members 5 years after the whole divorce and the whole escape from that environment, just to send a tiny little piece of paper that's junk mail to find a way in. How can I get back into that environment? How can I get back in? My ex and my mother have never apologized, ever, for anything. They're not sorry. they're not sorry. And if they are sorry, they're only sorry that they got caught. They're only sorry that you woke up. They're only sorry that you had enough love for yourself to escape. And so my whole point of creating this New Moon Oracle is to let you know that we all have discernment. We all have. The Creator has given us the light in ourselves. And it's to remind you of who you are. God didn't put you on this earth to suffer for other people's baggage. He didn't put you on this earth to filter everyone else's needs and feelings and emotions. That's their work. That's their shadow work. And until you realize that, you will continually be sucked in by these ploys and these trickery. And the problem with it is that when you're an empath and you're a kind person and you're not in that mindset, their tricks come and you miss them. Because you would never do such a thing. You would never sit and think, how can I get at this person? I'm going to take some junk mail and I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to send it to her and I'm going to show her I'm still friends with your mother. That's what that was all about. It was to show me I'm communicating with your mother. Here's a little junk mail that you might want to see. It's all a ploy and a game. So when you're going to leave a narcissist, you have got to be mentally prepared. And you can't be because you're healing. So that is why I have to stress the necessity to keep quiet, to go into hermit mode. Don't tell family, don't tell friends, keep it to yourself. Heal within, use that time to reflect and to recognize, and don't react. The first thing I wanted to do when I got that text message from my son was say, tell her, I don't want any, no, stop, don't react. They want your reaction. And even though it might have been something I said to my son, he may inadvertently, because he's an empathic, sweet person as well, he might inadvertently say to my mother, look, please don't send me any more of these. It bothers my mother, or whatever. But then see, then they get what they want. They want you to be bothered. They want to drum up anything they can to get into your world. And that is sick. And to be honest with you, I don't think about these people. At this point in my healing, I don't think about these people. But because I'm empathic and because I'm in touch with my spirit and my emotions, I can feel when they are plotting, when something's coming. And I knew that something like this would happen. And so I was pretty prepared for it when it happened. But when their tricks don't work, they'll lie low for a while and they'll think of something new. So I would invite you to subscribe to my channel, share my video if this resonates with you, or if you're in a relationship where you're contemplating, how do I get out? Because sometimes you do that for years. It took me years. Figuring out how to do it. First, I went through, nobody believes me. How am I going to ever leave if no one believes me and everyone thinks I'm crazy? And then I went into the, how am I going to do it if I have health problems and I'm having a hard time working and he controls the money and everything's in his name and he used up all my savings and how am I going to do it? So there's stages of this, and I really want to create a community where we can help each other and I can maybe guide you and give you some advice on what to do in these situations. And I'd love to hear your story and what you're going through, because if you need a community and you can't share with your family and your friends because you need to escape abuse, you need to find your tribe. You need to find your people. And I was lucky enough I moved across country after I left my husband. And I did that because I knew I needed to be surrounded with a whole new environment. I could not have old friends. I could not have acquaintances. I could not be in an environment that knew my situation. And it gave me a couple of years to really heal with some distance. We're not all lucky enough to be able to do that. It was a very hard thing for me to do. It was a hardship. It cost me a lot of money. It was physically demanding with my health issues and things. And so I want to be able to build a community where we can help each other to be a support, because the world is full of these type of people. And the world has always been full of these type of people, but what's happening now is it's rising to the surface. It's like when you boil something and all the gook comes to the top. And we're going to see more and more of this in the world right now. And it's really not a negative thing. It's actually a positive thing, because when things come to a breaking point and die, something new is born. But the dying process is very, very difficult. It's almost like birthing, right? You go into labor and you are in labor for hours, days sometimes, but then you birth a beautiful child. And that's really what happens with all of this. But in the meantime, I don't want people to be alone like I was. And I was able to find people on the internet that spoke about narcissistic abuse and helped me to understand, because when I was going through this, I didn't even know what a narcissist was. I mean, I had heard the term, and I just thought it was someone who was self-absorbed. And I thought, oh, I know lots of narcissists. No. A true narcissist is evil. And they don't stop being evil. They don't stop forgetting what you did to them. They will go to their deathbed hoping to revenge. It's just the way it is. You can ask anyone that's been in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So again, I know my videos can sometimes be very negative, but I want to send this out and speak my truth, so that if there's someone out there who is suffering like I did, that you know there's a way out and that there's a community that can help you. So thanks. Please like my video, and I hope to talk to you again. Thanks. Remember, I love you, and you need to love you too.